Isaias Afewerki. Reconciliation between the two neighboring nations is still a hope for the future.
The Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola has been declared winner of the recently held general election. MPLA won 75% of the vote. And in South Africa, funerals for 20 of the 34 miners killed by police are being held across the country and in neighboring Swaziland and Lesotho. Let's look at this roundup of news for more on those stories and others.
The party dominating the government in power in Angola since 1975 has declared itself to be the winner of the current general elections. The MPLA is sure that José Eduardo dos Santos has been re-elected president. Final voting figures have not yet been tallied, but the National Electoral Commission went public with partial results. With 3/4 of the votes counted, the MPLA has taken 75% of the votes, against 17% for the opposition UNITA. Opposition officials are crying fraud. As funerals were held for 20 of the 34 miners killed by police in South Africa, a high court there has finally suspended the charges of murder that, to the astonishment of everyone, had been brought against some 270 other miners. Those killed were from South Africa, but also from Lesotho and Swaziland. A strike by a radical union in the Lonmin platinum mine in Marikana 2 weeks ago became violent, and when police opened fire, 34 miners were killed. Demonstrations have been filling the streets of Lomé in Togo. In orange, opposition activists are chanting slogans hostile to the regime. They want a legal state and are protesting against police crackdowns. At the end of August, some 100 people were injured during protests staged by the Save Togo collective. Not far from the opposition activists, supporters of Togolese President Faure Gnassingbé were demonstrating in favor of what they called his efforts to reconstruct the country.
Authorities in Jordan are appealing for $700 million to cope with the large influx of refugees from neighboring Syria. The appeal comes as fighting continues between government soldiers and the Free Syrian Army. The Jordanian government is warning that without the money, it won't be able to cope with the influx. We have more in this report.
As Syrian refugees continue to pour into Jordan, the country announced the influx is beyond what it can deal with and appealed for international help. It is asking for a minimum of 550 million euros to deal with the refugees already in the kingdom and to help those still to come.
The government of Jordan, along with the different UN organizations, have together made an appeal for more help to care for the Syrian refugees in Jordan.
The Syrian war doesn't seem to be nearing an end just yet. Jordan has taken on these refugees without much external help.
This is a message to the world. The situation is difficult. We have reached our maximum limit. The world, our friends, our brothers, they must all do their part.
The majority of these refugees live in the towns or villages, but also in the camps such as this one in Zaatari. In the middle of the hot desert, it is difficult to find water, electricity, food, and medical care for nearly 26,000 people. The camp can easily see thousands of refugees arrive, even though living conditions are already this difficult. Thanks to God, before this we lived in a big house, and now we live in a tent. It's really a sad situation, more than you can even imagine. Unlike other countries in the area, Jordan has not threatened to close its borders. It will continue to help Syrians. In particular, it will help their children. A vaccination program has already been set up, and with the start of the school year, they are now allowed to attend Jordanian public schools.
We'll now take a second break. News and sports coming up right after.
It is a revolution of great young minds and a competition where everyone is a winner. It is a display of academic potentials, talent and beauty. Founded and supported by His Excellency the President, Chef Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya AJJ Jammeh, the finals of the 2012 Miss 22nd July Scholarship Pageant will take place on Saturday, September 15, 2012 at the Paradise Suites Hotel starting at 8 p.m. The chief guests of honors are His Excellency the President, Chef Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya AJJ Jammeh, and Her Excellency the First Lady, Madam Zainab Yahya AJJ Jammeh. Guest artist is Sekuba Bambino, Mam Tamsir Njai and Jelly Keba. Proudly sponsored by the Gambia Ports Authority, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Gambia Petroleum, Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, the Gambia Tourism Board, Grts, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, and AFRICEL. Support the Miss 22nd July Scholarship Pageant as the scheme will benefit all and sundry.
Welcome back. Over now to news on sports. Swiss tennis star and world #1 Roger Federer completed another supreme at the US Open Tennis Championship. Federer is looking to become the first ever six-time champion in 87 years. We have details of his third round game and other ties in the women's single in this report.
The Fed looking to keep his career record clean against the Spaniard Fernando Verdasco, and he did so with minimal fuss. The Fed off to a solid start, serving out the first set. Nicely done, 6-3. More of the same really in the second. A big serve and drive volley, serving it out for 6-4. Business as usual as well in the third. Really good stuff. He's supremely fit, just turned 31 years of age. An incredible angle volley to finish this one off for the Swiss player. He wins it. 6-3, 6-4, 6-4, 31, more like 21, I reckon. Olympic champion Andy Murray, though, struggling, we have to say, in the heat and humidity of New York City. On Saturday, the 2008 US Open runner-up needed nearly 4 hours to take care of the challenge of another Spaniard, Feliciano Lopez. Murray had lost just one set in 6 previous meetings with his opponent. In action right now, we got the defending champ Novak Djokovic, who's playing the Frenchman Julien Benneteau for a place in the last 16, and it's pretty plain sailing right now. He's 6-3, 6-1 up in that one, while later Sunday it'll be all eyes on the American, the real darling. He's become the darling of this tournament, hasn't he? The American looking to keep his retirement plans on hold as he faces Fabio Fognini.
And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. Over 2,000 women from the West Coast and Lower River regions have descended on one of the president's farms for a weeding exercise. The Youth and Sports Ministry has started gearing up for the 2012 National Youth Conference and Festival. Jordan is asking for assistance amounting to $700 million to cater for the needs of the thousands of Syrian refugees uprooted by the raging conflict. And the ruling Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola has won the country's second post-war general election. And before we go, just a reminder, you can monitor GRTS Radio live on our website at www.grts.gm. That brings us to the end of the news. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned and enjoy our range of interesting programs.
Show Buddies Night Out, the show for you and your friends to win fabulous prizes. But you win only if you answer questions we ask you correctly. To be part of the show, you should know the numbers by now. Type BUDDIES Buddies to your favorite network: AfriCell 2020-200, QCell 30-30-300, Chromium 60-60-600, and Gamcell or 999-0909, and we will call you back. Make sure you have 4 friends ready to participate. Talk to you soon.